Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society, bringing you our nightly update on the tropics. And we lost Umberto today, so we will not be covering two tropical systems here in the Atlantic tonight. We will be covering one. But that one currently has hurricane warnings in place for our friends in Bermuda, and the conditions have been deteriorating throughout the day. Pretty gusty winds. One thing that I do want to point out here is that we've got a broad area of low pressure down here into the southern Gulf that was producing a pretty decent cluster of showers and thunderstorms earlier, and I saw a couple people mentioning it on social media. So I do want to reach out and address this. If you look at the very last frame, it'll kind of show. It really shows itself. If you look right there, you'll see this line going like this. That is an outflow boundary. And this is not performing very well because of that outflow boundary. This is falling apart. So, to anybody who may have been wondering about that, I figured I would just go ahead and address it here real quick. As you could see, it is not located on the National Hurricane Center's tropical outlook. We have nothing down there. There is a broad area of low pressure, but it is not tropical. All right, again, we lost Umberto earlier today, and it has since become the remnants of Umberto. It did merge with the front, and that same frontal boundary is starting to impact and kind of press in on Imelda as well. It is noted in the discussion that we'll go over here in just a moment that the hurricane hunters have noticed the beginning stages of extratropical transition, which is, excuse me, which is in one stage kind of good, but in another stage not so good for our friends over there in Bermuda. And this did not refresh, so please give me just one moment. It's been crazy behind the scenes here today. I'm certainly not going to get into it, but it has been. As we can see here, we've got it on the mesoscale loop, and our friends here in Bermuda are sitting right there. Center of circulation right here with all of the power of this system kind of in that region right there. The front side of this system it's obviously a hurricane, but it's nowhere near what it's going to be after that storm goes through. The back side of this is quite formidable, and to really highlight that, we'll come down here to the IR image in the clean long wave. As you could see, this area associated in the red colors, that's definitely where some significant winds are beginning to develop on the backside of this, and unfortunately, it's going to pack a punch as it is moving through the Bermuda region. So Hurricane Imelda is currently located at 31.6 north, 67.9 west, approximately 190 miles west-southwest of Bermuda, with a maximum sustained winds of 100 miles an hour. It is currently moving east-northeast at 22 miles an hour with a minimum central pressure of 966 millibars. We still have a hurricane warning in effect. Wind, we are definitely expecting hurricane force winds and some rather, strong hurricane force wind gusts as this goes through. 2 to 4 inches of rain or 50 to 100 millimeters. That could lead to flash flooding. They have already seen a good amount of rain from just the overall conditions that they've been in over the last 36 hours due to Umberto's passage, plus the moisture inflow from Imelda on the backside. We'll look at their radar here in a moment. Storm surge, definitely. In areas of onshore winds, That will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. So please, folks, exercise caution. And surf, stay out of the water. We're not even going to go through it. Just stay out of the water. East coast of the United States, stay out of the water. Looking at our forecast track, as you could see here, the tropical storm force wind field is already beginning to impact here on Bermuda. They have definitely seen some tropical storm force winds and some rather strong gusts up into the mid to lower 60s here this afternoon. And again, we'll take a look at their current conditions here in just a moment. Looking at our overall spaghetti guidance, as you could see, the GFS is the only one that really wants to kind of hang this back. But even if it does, look where it's at. 40 degrees north, way out here, meandering into, as an outlier, into just the wide open waters away from everything and everybody. The majority of the guidance wants to bring this out and then pretty much open it up over the North Atlantic. Our key messages. Thankfully, today, well, maybe tomorrow, but today should be the last day for some significant key messages. Imelda is expected to bring damaging hurricane force winds and large and damaging waves to Bermuda when it passes near or over the island late tonight into early Thursday. Significant hurricane force gusts are likely across Bermuda even after the center passes. Number 2, heavy rainfall could cause flash flooding across Bermuda tonight into Thursday. And then number 3, the swells and high surf from Imelda are expected to produce dangerous marine conditions and rip currents along much of the east coast of the United States and the western Atlantic during the next several days. Better known as stay out of the water. Looking at our discussion. Now, we're not going to read the top. That even though it does state here that the eye wall has taken an elliptical shape and was open to the northeast, unlike the closed circular eye wall that was reported earlier this morning. So that is definitely starting to lean towards those structural changes and becoming extra tropical. But it certainly will take time for that to occur. It's definitely not an immediate thing. So we're going to go over paragraphs 2 and 3. Tropical storm conditions, especially in gusts, are already being reported on Bermuda. Imelda continues to move east-northeast at 70 degrees at around 19 knots, with the center expected to pass over or just south of Bermuda and bring hurricane force conditions to the island late tonight and early Thursday. Although the system is moving quickly, the wind field is growing and becoming asymmetric due to the early stages of extratropical transition. As a result, the strongest winds may occur early Thursday morning after the center has passed Bermuda. The GFS, The GFS and Euro indicate some strengthening could occur in the near term due to baroclinic interaction, and this is reflected in the NHC intensity forecast. After Imelda clears Bermuda and becomes fully extratropical, most models show the cyclone turning northeastward by late Thursday or Friday within the flow between a deep layer trough over the western Atlantic and a narrow subtropical ridge to the east. This portion of the track forecast remains challenging. There is still significant model spread, mostly related to whether the cyclone becomes fully captured by the trough. The GFS remains a major outlier among the rest of the global guidance, and the updated NHC track forecast continues to trend closer to a blend of the Euro and Google DeepMind solutions. Beyond 24 hours, steady weakening is forecast while the extratropical low moves deeper into the mid-latitudes and gradually fills while becoming stretched out along the front. So that last sentence right there gradually fills while becoming stretched out along the front. That is great news. And as we could see here, maybe a little bit of intensification over the next 6 to 12 hours, but then a steady weakening trend is forecast to occur, but unfortunately, not quick enough for our friends in Bermuda. Now, this was a hurricane reconnaissance from earlier. That was yesterday. This is from the most recent one that we've got that had a full passage. I do know that they are in the storm right now. And again, here we have the center of circulation right in this region right here. If you look at those winds right there, that is representative of category 3 flight level winds. All right, that's not surface winds. But if you notice, that is on the southern side. If this storm could somehow, some way go south of Bermuda, that would be great. Because the northern side is going to be considerably weaker than the southern side. It's still going to have major impacts, but it would not be as bad. Our hurricane force winds 70 to 80% range here, or no, that's the 80 to 90% range for Bermuda, and it's significant. Looking at their wind speed probability, 99%, basically 100 for our tropical storm force winds, 100 for our 50 knot winds, and both of these have already verified. And we have an 89% chance for our 64 knot winds as we continue to go forward here over the next 12 hours. So please, folks, preparation time is about over. Please shelter in place until the storm passes. Our most likely arrival time of winds, I still have this up. Like I said, it was crazy today, and I really didn't get much of a setup time for tonight's live. But the tropical storm force winds are already there. Our rip current, folks, again, look at the entire East Coast covered in a very high risk of rip currents. Stay out of the water. Tomorrow doesn't get much better. There's a couple little areas you may be able to get to, but as far as today is concerned, absolutely not. Stay out of the water. Looking at our waves, this is the Euro's significant wave height and direction. And if you look off the east coast of the United States, this is why we're telling you to stay out of the water. It is going to take a few days for this to finally subside. So please, folks, give it a couple days. We've got, we had a pair of hurricanes offshore this morning. So please, let's just, respect Mother Nature, respect the water, stay out of it for a few days. And at least if you're on the Atlantic facing beaches, if you're in a back bay or something to where the water isn't ripping on a beach somewhere, enjoy your time. But if you're on an Atlantic facing beach, please, please, please stay out of the water. Now, we've got here radar from Bermuda, and as you can see here, quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity off to the north. A little bit of a banding feature starting to develop here with the core of the storm still well off to its west. It has not really entered the field of view here just yet. But it is getting very, very close. And as you could see, quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity. Now, I did say that we were going to look at its observations. So here we've got the airport is right here. That's the airport. This is the National Museum of Bermuda right here. This one is elevated. This one is not necessarily at the surface. This is up a little bit higher. And as you could see here, with all of these numbers right here, as they rotate through, we are looking at knots, wind gusts in knots that are definitely in and around and exceeding 60 miles an hour. Steady winds of certainly tropical storm force, getting up there into the mid to upper 40s, maybe into the 50-mile-an-hour range for some of those sustained winds, with gusts definitely getting 60 plus right now. And these conditions are going to continue to go downhill as we go through the overnight hours, and especially getting into the early morning hours here of Thursday. Now, as far as our airport is concerned, we're just now getting tropical storm force gusts. So the sustained winds are still in the tropical depression range, but we have seen and beginning to see those tropical storm force gusts impacting here at the airport on Bermuda. They have issued their public forecast, as you could see here from the Bermuda Weather Service. This is the official forecast for those folks. So we are definitely monitoring things, as you could see. Southerly gale force to hurricane force gusts to hurricane force. They're expecting pretty much all hell to break loose tonight. So our hearts go out to them. Please, folks, stay sheltered, stay safe. Now, this evening, Weather Models 12Z did not populate the Euro for us in our normal graphical, or the Euro Legacy, in the normal graphical representation. We're going to take a look at that on DeepMind. We can just pull it up from there instead of using other sources. Taking a look at our GEFS ensembles, this is going out 7 days. We may have to keep an eye on this wave out here into the tropical Atlantic, into the main development region. Folks out here into the Lesser Antilles, just keep an eye on this one. This looks to be potentially the last one that we're going to have to really deal with. It's no threat to the United States at this time. Doesn't look like it would be getting anywhere remotely close. But for our friends out here into the eastern portions of the Caribbean, just keep a monitor on it. As you could see, when we run it out 10 days, there could be something. There may be something getting out here trying to develop along the stalled out edge of the frontal boundary over the Gulf, maybe a little bit of a Central American gyre. It does look like a lot of that energy may dispel into the Eastern Pacific, but again, we're going to have to keep a close watch on it. We're getting into October. Today's the 1st. Now's time to start shifting our attention back towards the southwestern Atlantic, the Western Caribbean, and the Gulf. If we compare the GEFS with some of our AI models, being the Euro AI here in particular, again, we would have to keep a watch on this wave out here. We've got another little area of low pressure that's trying to get itself organized. Again, it is on the edge of the frontal boundary. And this is basically one of those quote-unquote homegrown systems. So we'll be keeping a very close watch on the Bahamas region in and around where Imelda kind of started to consolidate for potential development. And then we also have a spot down here into the Southern Gulf. Again, you're looking at this trough and frontal boundary that'll be drug across, and multiple little areas of vorticity can spin up along a washed out trough. So now we are going to take a look at Google DeepMind, and then we're going to switch over to the Euro using this same format. So as we run this forward, we've got that Eastern Pacific spot. The DeepMind has really shifted away from potential land interactions, which is a good thing. As you can see here, we're out, we'll go back one frame. This way we're out 8 days. Again, we will have to watch for anything trying to develop out off of these washed out frontal boundaries. It will just stay weather aware, folks. There's nothing necessarily on the cards, but it only takes one. And there's not a lot on this, but enough to be like, okay, let's just watch. Now, our other wave out here, as you could see, it could develop, and there are quite a few circles here. So our friends out there in the Caribbean are recommended to monitor this particular wave as we go forward. Right now, we have nothing from the National Hurricane Center, but just looking at some of the ensembles here, it comes off in a couple days. So we have to take everything that we see here with a grain of salt. Wait for the wave to actually emerge from the African mainland to be able to get a better determination on it. But it is something that folks may want to watch. Now, here is the Euro, and we will run the Euro forward, as you could see. Maybe a little bit of low pressure development again along that trough. Here comes that wave. We're out 7 days, and we will go ahead. This is only going to go out 10 days, but as you could see, maybe a little something here for our friends into the Eastern Caribbean. So again, just something to keep a watch on. We're out 7 days. Again, something down here. Something down here, maybe in this kind of this envelope here. As you could see, maybe it dispels its energy into the Eastern Pacific. It could try to get up into the Gulf. It is something that we'll continue to monitor as we go forward. But it is nothing of great concern just yet at this time. So again, there's no real heavy signal from the Euro other than maybe this wave here and then this area down here into the Eastern Pacific. If it does not dispel its energy into the Eastern Pacific, it may try to work its way up into the Gulf, but we've certainly got time to continue to monitor that. Taking a look at our models, as you can see, this is our 850 millibar cyclonic vorticity. This represents areas of spin approximately 1 mile above the ocean surface. And this was initialized earlier this morning, so you could see Umberto and Imelda out here, and you could see exactly what happened to Umberto. Gone, stretched out, spaghettified along the trough, and now is beginning to move out. If we take a look out here again, that stalled out frontal boundary, this is the stuff that we have to watch for right now. A little homegrown systems, as you could see. That little peak right there, and as you could see kind of how it bends up right here, that's the areas to where we would have to watch. So let me erase that and show you kind of how it all plays itself out. You see how it kind of rides up and potentially tries to roll over on itself? That's what we have to look for. And of course, as we get out here towards day 7, we've got that area of energy here into the Eastern Pacific. Again, it is something that we'll have to watch with that stalled out frontal boundary and a little bit of extra rotation down here. Maybe an area of vorticity can spin up there into parts of the Gulf and or getting into the southwestern Atlantic. So just right now we have no imminent threats, but it is something that we will have to keep a very close watch on. All right, now we have again our Euro on the left and our GFS on the right. We have our 500 millibar vorticity humidity models on the top and our 700 millibar humidity levels here on the bottom. These represent areas between approximately 10 to 18,000 feet above the ocean surface. Browns representing our dry air, blues and greens representing our moisture. If we run this forward, as you could see, quite a bit of dry air will remain, but a pocket of moisture off of the east coast or the southeast coast here, maybe getting into parts of the Gulf as well, could exist as we get into about day 3. Maybe a little bit of rain trying to regress back into the southeastern United States. We would certainly welcome some here in the Florida Panhandle. But again, we are out 7 days, and just to highlight the clarity of this trough, these are the areas that where we've got to watch for little spots of vorticity potentially trying to spin up on that, and that's what's known as homegrown. And then again, our wave out here associated coming off the African mainland, you could see the moisture surge associated with that wave. So again, not a huge signal on it, nothing noted by the National Hurricane Center. Just something to keep a close watch on. Now, last but not least, we are going to go through our wind shear models. And again, we've got the Euro on the left and the GFS on the right. This is representative of the winds from about 5,000 feet to approximately 40,000 feet, with how they change in height and the strength of those winds as well. As we continue to run this forward, we will note that the Caribbean stays with a great amount of shear on the GFS and a little bit there on the Euro. But as we get towards day 6, we are starting to notice on both models that we've got an area of low pressure right here. And we've got a high pressure that is sitting over the top of it, where you've got a counterclockwise flow. There is a low pressure. Actually, it's right there. Let's go back on this. That low pressure is trying to consolidate right there. And then you've got what looks to be an upper level anticyclone right here. And the Euro also verifies, but does not have an area of low pressure trying to consolidate on it. At least it doesn't show up here. Not at all. But as you could see, looking there on the GFS, we get right there. You can certainly see where that surface feature and low pressure began and finally consolidated right there. So all in all, we've got a great amount of shear that is going to continue, but can a seed find a little spot in a timing area of conducive conditions to then get itself organized and developed? It doesn't look too good for tropical development maybe through the first week here of October, but as we start to get more and more towards the middle of the month, things are certainly anticipated and expected to change. So much so, I forgot to show this yesterday, but this is the new Global Tropics Hazards Outlook that came out yesterday. As you can see here, we've got week 2 for October. This is the second week in October from the 8th to the 14th, where we may have potential CAG development, but it should favor the Eastern Pacific down here, just south of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, right here. It should favor the Eastern Pacific, though we have the potential for development here. It's not zero, but it is lower than the Eastern Pacific. And then our highlighted area that we're watching there into the tropical Atlantic from this next wave. But then we get to the middle of October and we get to week 3, as you could see here, October 15th through the 21st. Look at this. Equal chances. Will it go into the Eastern Pacific? or will it come into the Western Caribbean? Maybe it'll go into the Southern Gulf. Again, equal chances of tropical cyclone potential here for the middle of October, getting into the beginning part of that third week of October from the 15th to the 21st. And it certainly, it's greater than 40%, but less than 60. So we're running 40 to 59% chance on both sides of Central America. Equal chances. So please, folks, stay weather aware. We are definitely not done with hurricane season yet. Now, taking a look at Imelda on the on Earth Null here down to the surface, you can very clearly see the frontal features. And Umberto was a part of this earlier and is now being absolutely stretched apart. And our hearts go out to our friends here in Bermuda, because the conditions are going to continue to go downhill as we get into the overnight hours, and a landfalling tropical cyclone, especially getting into hurricane strength overnight, sucks. You can't see anything, so it just sucks. All right, jumping out to the Eastern Pacific, we currently have disturbance number 1 with a 30% chance of development over the next 48 hours and an 80% chance of development over the next 7 days. All right, and getting out here for Tropical Storm Octave. As we can see, it's got a decent area of thunderstorm activity with a decent amount of banding associated with it. We are again awaiting the development of our spot out here with our 3080 off the southwestern coast of Mexico. Getting into Octave's advisory, it is currently located at 12.0 degrees north, 116.3 degrees west. Maximum sustained winds of 65 miles an hour, moving northwest at 8 miles an hour, and a minimum central pressure of 994 millibars. There are no coastal watches or warnings in effect, with no hazards affecting land. If we look at its forecast track, it is out here into the middle of the open waters of the Eastern Pacific, bothering absolutely nobody. And if we look at its discussion, we can see it is forecast to maintain that tropical storm strength through the forecast period. But as you can see here, in 48 hours, running at 70 miles an hour, it may make a run at hurricane strength. So we may have another hurricane on our hands out here into the Eastern Pacific. Been awfully active this year. Now let me flip all these over. We did not get anything from the Euro. Again, for the East Pac, if we run the Euro forward, maybe a little bit of threat, but it is starting to reduce. Nowhere near as much as what we were looking at there yesterday. And again, we will have to watch there south of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. Getting over here to the GEFS, we'll pop back on the 12Z. As you can see, the GEFS has a completely different story. Definitely still brings the threat of significant tropical cyclone impact to the Baja Peninsula there in Mexico. Still a long ways out, and we do not have a storm developed yet. But just please, it is climatologically, it's getting towards that time of year for folks here in southern and southwestern Mexico, plus getting for the Baja Peninsula. So just it's recommended to monitor. As we get through, we got about 1 month, one more month to go for any kind of serious impact. As we could see with the Euro AI, though, the Euro AI is pretty gung-ho on bringing this into parts of the Baja Peninsula. So that would be quite unfortunate and would also bring a surge of tropical moisture into the southwestern U.S. So, folks, just please keep a watch on things as we go through this upcoming month. And we have all sorts of interest out here into portions of the Western Pacific. Tropical Storm 27W, I think it's Paolo or Palo or something from the Pagasa from the Philippines. And then we also have Tropical Cyclone 1B out here into the Bay of Bengal. And then our Inbest 90A in the Arabian Sea. If this were to develop, it is going to head towards, looks like it was going to head towards folks there in Oman. So, real quick, let's take a look at our pair of graphics for our tropical cyclone. As you could see here, is forecast to only be a tropical storm, and I use the word only here for a reason, because we get the University of Wisconsin up here. Let's pull 27W up. Better yet, let's just go to a better representation of that. What we are going to pull up are our rapid intensification models. As you could see, no chance for rapid intensification with Imelda. Not very much of a chance with rapid intensification with Octave. But then when we scroll down to 27, though the Joint Typhoon Warning Center may only show a tropical storm, about that, this thing could ramp up rather quickly on approach to Luzon and the Philippines, and this very well might be a typhoon prior to making landfall here on the northern island of Luzon, then exiting out into portions of the South China Sea, and of course, guess where it's going? The same place it seems like every other storm this season here into the Western Pacific has ended up, somewhere near the Hainan Peninsula, southern China, and or Vietnam. Really have seen very few recurves out here this year. This has been quite amazing. And for our storm out here into the Bay of Bengal, again, 35 knots right there, tropical storm force will be moving into portions of eastern India over the next 24 hours or so. So, again, this one is the one of concern with that potential for rapid intensification. And as you could see, you don't see rapid intensification on this, but it's still got about 24 hours before it makes landfall. And it certainly could undergo rapid intensification if it consolidates really quickly. And I'm definitely not the only one that is concerned about that. All right, everybody. That's about all I've got here for tonight. I am going to go ahead and sign off. Have a wonderful evening. We will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central here on Facebook and YouTube. So have a wonderful night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.